In today's video, empowering student voices. Hi everyone, welcome back to another 5-Minute Friday. My name is Chrissy and today's video is focused on empowering student voices. If we want students to be creative, self-directed learners, we need to go beyond student engagement and into empowerment. They need to own the learning. We know that highly engaging environments often promote empowerment because they focus on student agency and ownership. And when you add student ownership to student engagement, you have empowerment. Today I want to share 3 tips for getting started with giving your students the opportunity to own their learning. Tip number 1, start with a small project. It can be really daunting to change the way learning is done in the classroom, and it's very easy to get completely overwhelmed. So start out with one choice-driven project. This allows you to spend some time planning and reflecting while also spending time teaching in a way that feels comfortable. It might be a 2-week unit that you try out. Or you could do a Geek Out project. This is where students choose a topic they geek out about based upon their own personal interests. They ask questions, engage in research, and ultimately create something in the end. At the moment, I'm working with a group of Year 7 to 10 students, that's grades 6 to 9, and they're geeking out with podcasts. We created a school podcast channel, and they're talking about and sharing the things that they're thinking about or are passionate about right now. For something a little long term, you could try a Genius Hour project. This is when students spend an allotted time each week working independently on a project that they design from the ground up. There's a ton of really great information on the web about Genius Hour, if you want to look it up. Tip number 2, model it. Now, it took me a while to realise this, but most students really aren't used to having choice in learning, and they get very overwhelmed by the sheer amount of choice available to them. You do have to teach students how to know what their choices are, how to select the right choice for them, how to go about scaffolding their project, and even how to manage their own projects, and most of all, how to make decisions when they get stuck. What's worked really well for us as a class is when I've provided some sentence frames for inquiry questions, and we always walk through our first design thinking project in a very sequential, step-by-step way, which of course means that there's a little more direct instruction that's required. At first, this will feel counterproductive to student empowerment. I know I thought real choice-driven classrooms wouldn't need so much initial support from me as the teacher, but in actual fact, gradual release makes a lot of sense. When you're learning a skill for the first time, chances are you watch tons of videos. I know I do. You copy other people. I do that too. You listen to the experts. Yep, I can tick that one off as well. And I'm sure that you can relate to this one. You wonder if you're doing it right. Right? Well, the same is true of students who are owning their learning for the first time. They need a vision for how it can look and feel, and you and I, as the teachers, can provide that to them by modelling. Sometimes you're going to have to give them permission when you assume they already know they have it. And sometimes you'll also have to model the metacognition needed in self-assessment. And it's handy to remember that modelling doesn't always have to be whole class. Some of the best modelling happened when I did one-on-one conferencing or small group conferencing. Tip number 3, communicate what you're doing to your stakeholders. There is nothing worse than a parent blindsiding your principal with an angry phone call saying, "My child is allowed to do whatever they like in Mrs. So-and-so's class. What's happened to the real learning?" And your principal has no idea that you're trying to empower student voices. Even worse, is when your students go home to their parents and they say, "I'm learning whatever I want in class." We need to share why we're embracing student choice as a class, and not just with your principal and your parents, but also with your students. Talk to your students about choice and ownership. Share data how student choice could increase motivation and engagement with your parents. And explain that learning isn't simply an issue of letting students do whatever they feel like doing. There's still structures and rules and expectations in place. Share your why with everyone. And here's a really great word that I use all the time. Pilot. I'll share with my principal and parents something like, we're going to pilot Genius Hour projects, or we're going to be piloting design thinking, a framework that's used in the arts, in business, and in engineering. So, what are you waiting for? Go for it with empowering student voices. And don't forget to share with us how it's going. We'd love to hear from you. I can almost guarantee that it won't be perfect. The process will have many mistakes, but then that's fail. First attempts in learning. And that's where the magic happens.